So we're now going to start our new patterns project, and there's actually two ways to start it. So I'm going to show you one right now, but if you don't want to do the drawing aspect first, you could do the patterns aspect first. So let's hop over to Illustrator to prepare our project. We're going to go to File, New, and we're going to use our new system, which is my last name first, then my first name, both full, and my grade. This is a 7th grade project, so I'm going to put a 7 there. After that, I'm going to make sure my artboards are 1, and I'm going to make sure also that I have my width either 11 or 8.5. In my case, I want my width to be 8.5 because I have a vertical page. You can choose between either or, so I'm going to show you examples of both those now. So you could choose whether your width is 11 and 8.5 is your height, or vice versa. Either way, it needs to be in inches, and there needs to be one artboard here. Press OK, and you'll see that I get a vertical page. Now the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to get some pictures from the internet to create a scene. The scene could include buildings or plant life and or possibly animals and people. So give me a second to pull up an example. So as you can see, I got a photograph of my favorite place. You could do any place that you want, really. And you can see that there are several areas in it. For example, if I were to draw this in shapes, which we know is basically the point of Illustrator, I would draw this castle as one shape. I would draw this tree as one shape. I would draw this area of ground as one shape. I would draw these bushes as a shape that overlap it, and these bushes as a shape that overlap the castle but are overlapped by the ground, and so on. So each of these areas would be something that I could trace out in shapes. Now I want at least 10 shapes, and this may have about 10, but I think I wanted to add a big clue to where we are, so I'm going to add that here. And I'm just going to draw that in separately. And also, I didn't want my sky to be so empty, so I might put a cloud picture in there that I got, and maybe even another one over here. And all I did to do that was click it with the Alt button down, and that allows me to drag it over there. All right, so now I have some clouds, and you can see I made that one a little bit different. And this is basically going to be my scene. So the next step is to use our favorite, the pen tool, and draw each of those individual shapes. So I'm going to draw that and then let you see what it looks like. Here you can see I drew my extra shapes, and I just have them there, and I'm going to move my photograph out of the way so we can see what it looks like. Now you can see when I was drawing off the page I was sloppy because it doesn't matter, that part's not going to print anyway. Also, where I have things overlap, I was kind of sloppy. So for example, you see that this bush has like the texture of a bush, but when it goes behind the tree, like it does in this picture, I know that the viewer is not going to be able to see that. So I just made some quick lines to get to the next part where I had to draw the texture again, because that part is shown. So that's basically how you want to draw. As you can see, these are each separate shapes. I drew my castle and all these other shapes individually, and I made sure that they were sealed shapes like they must be in Illustrator. If you need, I don't want to review for you how to do the pen tool. You could watch that video, which is called Illustrator Pen Tool Review. So feel free to look at that video if you need that, but I don't want to waste everybody's time who remembers how to use the pen tool since we just did a project on it. Alright, so I'm Command Z to get all these things back. So this is the drawing aspect of the project. You need to have a scene made of 10 individual shapes, and if you know that those shapes are overlapping, you're allowed for them to be sloppy, but you're eventually going to fill each shape in with patterns that you draw. So this is where we need the scene to be as a complete drawing before we start putting in our patterns that are all going to be handmade by ourselves. So this is a finished product, except for the fact that I didn't make any of these patterns myself. I just got them from our fill area. The whole project is learning how to create and use patterns. So obviously we're going to make our own, but I just wanted to show you what the project could potentially come up like. I'm just going to also show you some quick examples of other versions of this project that I've seen in places like Target and stuff like that, that I took pictures of because I knew I was going to do a project like this. So they're good examples. Basically all you need is, you can see that I have 1, 2, 3, the background is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like 15 different areas here or shapes, and you can have as few as 10. And you're gonna make 9 patterns yourself, because you can see that I repeated a pattern in certain areas. You might be able to do that too. And that's it. So I hope you enjoy this project, and please leave appropriate feedback, and see you in the next video.